So yeah, we'll try and speed things up here just a little bit. Ugh. My computer is so slow, it takes forever to compile a video, and I want to make sure it's ready to go for block 5. All right, so here we go. The next topic we're going to be looking at is still factoring, trinomials. But now we're going to factor trinomials with a greater than 1. Okay, we're going to factor trinomials with a greater than 1. All right. So, what do I mean by that, right? Well, if we take a look at a problem here, let me see if I've got. I don't necessarily I like these ones, but okay, we'll just stick with them here. Okay, let's take a look at. So there's our quadratic, right? First thing, of course, if we're trying to factor here, because again, that would be like our directions, we're trying to factor, okay? We want to see, is there a GCF we can factor out here? And is there a GCF that we can factor out? No, sadly not. Sadly not, right? Okay? So we're going to try and come up with combinations of numbers now, okay? We're looking for numbers that are going to multiply to 12 but add to 19. The added kind of challenge here, or complexity, the added kind of challenge here is that we also have to make 5n squared. Okay? So in the past, right, when it was just n squared in front here, we just had to have an n there, and we just had to have an n here. Right? And that would make n times n, and then we can go from there. But in this case, now we have to make a 5n squared. But the good news is, right, there's only one way to multiply to get 5. And what's the only way to multiply to get 5? What is that? 1 and 5, exactly right. So I'm going to put the 5 here, and I'll put a 1 there. Okay? So we know that for a fact. All right? And we're going to go back to the same strategy we used before, where we're trying to think of two numbers that multiply to 12. Okay? So, what are two numbers that multiply to make 12? 2 and 6, for example. Okay? So, I'm going to put in, just kind of willy-nilly here, plus 2 and plus 6. Okay. And then it's almost like a guessing and checking here, right? We're going to try and see, all right, I need to make, so 2 times 6 makes 12, but does 2 times 1 plus 6 times 5, does that make 19? Right, we're going to do the 2 times the 1, that makes 2. 6 times 5 is 30. Is 30 plus 2 going to be 19? No, right. So we have this added level of complexity now. It's not just these two numbers that have to add up to 19. It's 2 times the 1n plus 6 times the 5n, because those are what the like terms are going to be. They'll put together. They have to add to 19. And that's not right. So guess what? We have to try another one. All right, now sometimes it's a simple matter of switching the numbers around. All right, so we had 5n plus 2 and 1n plus 6. So now we'll just switch it to 5n plus 6 and 1n plus 2. So we just switch the 6 and the 2 position. They're still multiplying to 12. Now let's check. 6 times 1, 6. 2 times 5, 10. 6 plus 10, not 19. Okay. What else multiplies to make positive 12? Avery? 4 and 3. Okay, so let's try that. So let's try 5n plus 4n plus 3. Okay. 4 times 3 is 12. 5n times n is a 5n squared. 4 times n, 4n. 3 times 5n, 15n. Is 4 plus 15 equal to 19? Yes, and so that way we know we did it right. Okay, so in other words, guessing and checking, right, is a viable strategy here. Guessing and checking, right? Let me show another one here. Guessing and checking can be kind of a pain in the butt, though. For example, maybe you already think it's a pain. If we have like 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. All right, we know it. We're going to see if it breaks up into two binomials. We have to think of two numbers that multiply to make 4. What two numbers multiply to make 4? 2 and 2 and 1 and 4. Oh no. We have two different options here. So it could be 2x and 2x, or it could be 4x and 1x. So we have some guessing and checking with the x's as well, okay, to see what combination would work there. Now the good news is, to multiply to get 1, what's the only way to multiply to get 1? 1 and 1 or -1 and -1, right? But since we don't have any negatives in here, it's got to be +1 and +1. So we'll try the +1 there. We'll try the +1 and +1 there. Okay. Let's see here. 2x times 2x, 4x squared. 2x times 1, 2x. 2x times 1, another 2x. That adds up to 4x. And then 1 times 1 is 1. So, aha! We found the answer. This one won't be right. So let's just check, though. 4x times 1x is 4x squared. 1 times 1x, 1x. 4x times 1, 4x. That'll be 5x then, not 4x. So that one's not right. This one is 4x squared plus 5x plus 1. So that's not right. We need 4x squared plus 4x. Okay. Now, I can remember, this is the way I was taught to do these problems, all right, is just doing a lot of guessing and checking, basically. And I can remember, like, erasing over and over and over again, these things, trying to figure out, what the combination was and stuff like that. And, for that, there is a good, like, purpose to it, and it does help, all right? But let me kind of give you maybe an alternative here that may be of use, all right? And there's kind of like, there's like several different variations about this new technique I'm going to show you, all right? And so I'm going to show you one method of it that'll just help kind of take some of the guesswork out, all right? So let me show it to you with like one of these problems that we just did right here. Let's say, for example, 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 again. Okay, what you're going to do, excuse me, is take that 4 and multiply it back to the 1 here. So we're going to like rewrite this problem a little bit. Okay, in a different kind of fashion. Okay, and then we're going to look here and see, or actually, let me think here. We're going to look here and see how does this factor, oh, now I'm getting two methods mixed up here. I don't know what I want to do. All right, I'll show it to you this way. So this is called the method's called slide and divide. All right, and again, it's not, math. Some math teachers cringe when you talk about it, but it does make things help. So essentially, the idea is you slide the 4 back and you create this, and then you factor this quadratic. All right. Now this quadratic factors to be x plus 2 times x plus 2. Okay. That's the slide part. And then once you factor it, you then divide by the number that you slid by, and you divide each of these by 4. Each of those numbers by 4. Okay. Now, 2/4 is a fraction, but it does simplify. What does 2/4 simplify to be? 1/2. And that simplifies to 1/2. Whoops. Okay. Now, we don't leave the 1/2 in our answer here. We slide the 2 back in front and make it 2x plus 1. Slide the 2 back in front, 2x plus 1. Oops, I'm off the screen. There we go. And that equals that 4x squared plus 4x plus 1, an alternative way of doing it. Okay? So that's another option. It's another option. Okay? So that's slide and divide. Let me show you another one here with that. All right, let's say we've got 6y squared plus 5y minus 6. Okay? 6, we'll slide it back to the minus 6. So this becomes now y squared plus 5y minus 36. And now we're going to factor this thing. Okay? And again, this is much easier to factor than before because we have a 1 in front of our y there. And we're going to do y, well, let's see here. We need two numbers that multiply to make negative 36, but add to make positive 5. So, Avery?
Y plus 9 and then y minus 4.
Plus 9 minus 4, exactly right. Okay, so again, there's the slide. And then once we factored it, now we'll do the divide. And we'll divide by the number we slid. So divide each of these numbers by 6. Okay, again, now we have fractions, and these fractions do simplify. So we're going to simplify those fractions. We'll have y plus, let's see, both of those divide by 3, so 3 halves. And then y minus, both of those divide by 2, 2/3. But that's not our final answer. We have to slide that 2 back in front, slide this 3 back in front, and so we get 2y plus 3 and 3y minus 2. Okay? And so that is equal to that right there. 2y plus 3 times 3y minus 2. Okay, and you can see it, right? 2y times 3y, 6y squared. Plus 9y minus 4y, 5y, and then 3 times negative 2, negative 6. Okay, it works. All right. So let me give you guys one here to try on your own and see what you come up with. And you can use either of the methods. If you want to guess and check it, feel free. If you want to try slide and divide, your choice. Okay. Go ahead and give that one a try there. Let's see what you can come up with. Slide divide or guessing and checking. Okay. Volunteer for this one? Anyone? Madison?
Just slide and divide.
You did? Okay. So let's see. So you slid the 5 back, and that created x squared minus 18x plus 45 then? And did you get this to factor?
I did x minus 3 and x minus 2.
Okay. So there is the slide. And then we're going to divide now, right?
Yeah. We divided
By
by
5. Okay, so 3 does not divide by 5, and we can't simplify it anymore. So we'll slide that 5 back in front, make it 5x minus 3. 15 does divide by 5. What's left? 3. And so it's just x minus 3. That simplifies nicely. We'll stop right there, and that is the answer. Those are equal to each other. Okay? 5x minus 3, x minus 3. And again, if you don't believe me, right, you can check it here, right? 5x times x, 5x squared. The outer, negative 15x minus 3x is negative 18, and then negative 3 times negative 3, positive 9. All right? So, that's it. We're going to stop there, okay? So I think that should be enough to get you guys started. If not, I'll come around and help you out some. All right? And again, I'm stopping early there just to make sure that we can have enough time to get this video processed.